All right, welcome back to Hometown Spotlight on WLVL. I'm Frank Miller, and in studio we're joined with author Christina M, and we're talking about her new book, The Secret Sand Circle. Christina, without giving too much away, what can you tell us about the story itself? Like, so what is the general narrative or the what's happening in this book? Like, what's the main sort of focus here?
So 5 patients are all uniquely different in the way they have suffered trauma and abuse. And Dr. Jo Harkins is an expert at it. And she brings them into her garden office and then brings them into the Secret Sand Circle in her greenhouse. And each one of them resolve with her in a different way, from wonderful celebration to incredible sadness that happens to each one of them. And at the end of the day, Jo herself realizes things about herself that she didn't know and succeeds and goes beyond that. Like, it all comes together into one big experience for all 6, the 5 patients and Dr. Harkins together.
Real quick, do you have any favorite moments? Is there a favorite moment in the book that kind of sticks out at you? And it's like, you know what? I like this part the best. I know it's like your children, right? You know, you can't always pick a favorite, but if you had to pick one part of the book that was your favorite.
So Solana is a 16-year-old Cuban young lady who has been trafficked to Buffalo. And it's terrible. And it ruins her. Dr. Harkins reads about the story in the paper, and she calls social services and said, I want to help. Mm-hmm. So they said, will you help this girl, because she is the most deeply impacted of all the kids who were trafficked here. And she does. And, you know, it's an impossible task. And so social services gives her one more chance to try to get it right, because it's not working and the girl is getting more traumatized the whole time. So the last time she comes to see Jo, she takes off. And the social services aide that has brought her to Dr. Jo's office goes out to look for her, and Jo looks for her as well. And finally, Jo comes back to her house and goes around back to the greenhouse. Mm-hmm. And she hears this child crying, this young girl crying. And she's underneath a big vine that grows up over the greenhouse, and she can't get to her. And so she doesn't know what to do. She can't reach her, but she knows she's in there. So Jo had traveled to Cuba and visited there, and she talked to this girl about it to try to engage her. And one of the things she did was she bought, you know, I don't know about you, but when I go away, I tend to buy CDs. Yeah. Or at the time, CDs, but bring home music.
I still buy CDs. I love physical media.
Right,
you know?
Me too. So Jo brought home music from Cuba, and it was a series of lullabies. And there was one lullaby that she really kind of fell in love with, and she, you know, got where she would sing it and stuff. So she sat down on the grass outside this greenhouse and started to sing this lullaby, and she could sing it. She didn't know Cuban, Spanish, but she had learned it from listening to it so much. And slowly but surely, this Cuban immigrant girl comes out, and she crawls over to her, and she puts her head in her lap and just sobs.
Oh, my. Well, you know, it's funny. Before we take a break, that was actually my next question, was like, were there any particular passages in this book that were very emotional to write? And like, what kind of feelings did this bring out? Especially in the scene you just described. How did you feel, right?
I sobbed.
I can see you now that the eyes are welling up a little bit.
But I don't want people to think that it's such a sad or traumatic book. It is. There are moments, but let me tell you that there was a great author, and he wrote The 7 Deadly Sins, right? Mm-hmm. It was a lieutenant. And the lieutenant was a New York City cop, and he would create sandwiches, like these disgustingly, liverwurst and onion and just gross, right?
Anything with worst in it,
it's bad.
Generally lives up to its name. Yes.
So that's how he would process all the ideas of what was going on in the case, and he would stand over the kitchen sink and eat these disgusting sandwiches. Ooh. But it allowed you to kind of release all the tension you had from the terrible murder that was going on, right? Yeah. So I learned that lesson really well. So 2 things about the Secret Sand Circle. There's food now. I always include food. But gardening and flowers and nature is such an essential element of this book. And in every chapter, there's some moment where a flower or a plant or something makes a difference, or a picture of someone. And it all comes back to truly caring. Jo cares so deeply, and all she wants to do is help them restore their mental health and their ability. So please don't think that this book is going to keep you in a dark corner after you read it, or you're going to need to eat ice cream while you're eating it because it's so depressing. It is inspirational, and there are moments when you will be able to smile or laugh, or Jo's great and you'll love her and she's fun. So I think it's good. And it's set in Buffalo. So she lives in Parkside and she went to school at UB. And, you're going to hear about a lot of things if you're from this community that you'll know about.
Very nice.
And the Bills and the Sabres, of course, are always in every book. Yeah, right.
You got to work those in.
Right.
Yeah, so again, we're talking to local author Christina Apt, and we're talking about her book, The Secret Sand Circle. We're going to take a quick break here in just a moment. Christina, if somebody wanted to purchase a copy of the book, where would they go if they wanted to get a copy?
The first place they want to go is to my website, and it's my name, Christina, which is a Christina, and last name of Apt, A-B-T. And it's ChristinaApt.com. You can go right on there and buy a book. And not only will you get a cheaper price than you can get it anywhere else, Amazon included, or the local bookstores. I have it in local bookstores, Dog Ears in South Buffalo to start with. But they'll get a bookmark. And they'll get it personalized. And if you want to buy it for a gift, tell me who it's for, and I'll put their name in it, and then I'll mail it to you.
Excellent. And when we come back, we'll talk more. This book is actually going towards to help out a cause, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Again, we're talking with local author Christina Apt about her book, The Secret Sand Circle. This is Hometown Spotlight. We'll be right back on Hometown 1340 WLVL.